sort of two closing, maybe three closing, very quick closing things that I would say. One is one of the things that I get deeply concerned about in this conversation about subsidy is where we see there have been a lot of experiments to find ways of better structuring credit contracts to achieve the goals that we wanted. And almost universally, none of those new innovative products last beyond the test. They don't last beyond the test because donors don't recognize that innovation and rolling out part of the business model is standardization. So if you want a new and innovative product, you've got to be able to underwrite the costs to organizations like BRAC and FINCA to change their operating model and retrain all of their staff and develop all the IT behind that thing. And that's where that we keep running into these problems. And I think that's a really important part of this conversation. Second is, regulation really does matter. We know, based on history of looking at the evolution of financial services, that light touch regulations are possible and they do matter. Lack of regulation is a bad idea. Heavy touch, expensive regulation is also a bad idea. But it's also a continually evolving idea. There's a book about finance in New York State that looks at, over the course of 100 years, there were 160 laws passed and credit regulations. More than half of them were adjustments to earlier laws to adjust for the fact that they got it wrong the first time. It's hard, and it does need to evolve because the world evolves. And so I'm excited how many people are here that are committed to continuing to learn, continuing to evolve, continuing to stay in this conversation and figure out how we do it better.
Yeah, very quickly, I'd like to respond to something that's in the chat, saying that is this discussion very focused on old school MFIs since the 90s, no new challenging initiatives on how to reach the poor. Actually, there's been a lot of new stuff going on about what reaches the poor. We've had fintech, we've had MNOs get into this space. We have banks trying to serve these populations. We have banks trying to connect with chamas. This is hard. And I think what we have to think about is how we take all the learning. We need all those things, by the way. It's not that fintech is better and microfinance sucks. It's like we need all those things and we need impact first, right? And so how do we think about using our subsidy as donors to support the regulatory frameworks that we need? How do we think about investors coming in ways that really do put impact first? I hear a lot of talk about impact first. I don't see a lot of walking that talk, right? So how do funders come into this space, and how do operators up their game? I mean, I think both Bridget and Andre have spoken to this. We have the same crappy cookie cutter products out there right now, and we need to get a lot better about how we do it so that people can actually progress, that people can grow into better products, right? And I think BRAC and FINCA, others are focused on this. I see banks trying to come into this space. I see fintechs trying to operate in this space. We need all the things, but we need to have much nimbler, smarter regulatory framework, subsidy, funding. Like, we just need to understand that this is A, important, and B, hard, especially when you're trying to reach women. And so we need to be a lot more clever about how we get money, capital out to low-income people in meaningful ways. And that includes VSLAs, all the things, right? So I think we have to think about this as an integrated ecosystem and place our subsidy where we think it will have the impact it needs and let the commercial stuff do what it can do on its own.
I think that we have an enormous opportunity to really work on optimizing some of the tools that we know work, but also to make some additional investments in innovation. And I think that in that rush to commercialization, we have underinvested in innovation, particularly around what the customers themselves need and want from institutions like ours. And I think that we have an enormous opportunity to do good work with some technology, but also leveraging that connection that we have with our customers.
I'm eager about this next phase. I have hope for this next phase. We know that microfinance isn't a silver bullet, but we know that it is one intervention in a toolkit, in the development toolkit, where we're able to really help women realize their potential. And if you ever have a chance to meet a microfinance client, these women are vibrant, they have dreams, they have ambitions, and we have the opportunity to get the capital into their hands for them to realize those ambitions. So excited about this next phase. And I think I'm hopeful for the future that we won't be having the same conversation in 10 years.